Hi, my name is Beth, and you're listening to the Canna Fitness and Nutrition Podcast, where we are hanging out at the intersection of fitness, nutrition, and cannabis. Thank you so much for pressing play today. If you're new here, I'm Beth, your personal trainer and cannabis educator, and I welcome you for checking us out. If you're not new, thanks for coming back. I am excited about today's episode because we're going to dive into the 13 habits that so many women and men believe will help them lose weight, but are actually keeping you stuck. So if you've been doing all the right things, like eating less, working out more, trying to be perfect, but still not seeing results, this is for you. Because what if your weight loss struggle isn't about willpower, but about the way you've been taught to treat your body, right? We live in a culture that rewards discipline, hustle, self-denial, especially when it comes to women and weight loss. In fact, if you're about my age, and I'm going to be 48 next month, so if you're about my age or maybe plus or minus 10 years, then you grew up in the 80s and 90s with that specific diet culture. And that specific diet culture was headlined, in my mind, my memories, was headlined by Jennifer Aniston and her hair and her extreme weight loss and body changes that she went through with Courtney Cox on that show Friends that we all watched. And also the freaking Slim Fast commercials. Like, we grew up with just being inundated with commercials that said 2 shakes and a sensible meal will get you the body you want. 2 shakes, that's not even meals. 1 meal, that's all you get. Two drinks and a meal, that's all, right? We grew up with that and we absorbed that. So we've been taught to control, restrict, push harder, and we believe that the harder we work, the more our bodies should cooperate. But your body's not a machine. It's a living, breathing ecosystem. It responds to stress. It needs safety, nourishment, and balance to function well, especially when it comes to metabolism, energy, and fat loss. The truth is, we're not going to survive on 2 drinks and a sensible meal. That's just not enough fuel. So that's why inside CannaFit, we focus on working with your body, not punishing your body, not restricting to two drinks and a meal. That's zero fun, first of all. And so today we're going to walk through their 13 common habits that might be working against your goals and what to do instead. So here we go. Mistake number 1. Skipping meals to save calories. Oh boy, I still hear this one a lot. Someone said to me just last week, a client, she said, I ate too much at the event last night. And I said, okay, well, tell me more. What happened? And she said, well, I didn't eat all day so that I could eat at the event. And I said, why would you do that? Because this is the thing, is your body needs nourishment. And so when it doesn't get it, your blood sugar crashes, right? Which destroys your energy levels. It destroys your quote unquote willpower. And your body wants to make up for it just from skipping a meal. So now you skipped lunch to go out for an event or a meal for dinner, right? What's happening that whole time is your blood sugar is crashing, which is making your brain go, oh, feed me. And then your willpower is crashing at the same time. So now everything looks good. You have no energy now because you haven't eaten. So you get to the event or your dinner, and now everything looks good. And you're telling yourself, well, I skipped lunch. I can eat whatever I want. And suddenly your eyes are bigger than your stomach, and you're filling your plate with everything you can think of. Whereas if you had just eaten lunch like a normal person or like a normal day, then you would get to dinner and you would still have your wits around you. You wouldn't have a blood sugar crash. You would be in a better state because you would have even blood sugar and your brain would be not starving for food, and it would be able to reason with you and say, you know what, I am going to have that chicken sandwich and I'm going to have a side of fries, but I'm going to split them with my friend so that I don't eat them all. You can say reasonable things, right? Always making sure that you are eating protein and fat during the day to keep, especially earlier in the day, to keep your blood sugar even, to keep your energy up. Because we've all experienced the part where you run out of food, you've run out of energy, you're too tired and too hungry to care, right? Too tired and too hungry to care. So the solution is eat balanced meals, include protein, include healthy fats. And honestly, with clients, a lot of times we're just restructuring their day so that they can eat balanced meals. Eating breakfast, eating lunch leads to eating a regular dinner and not binging at night. Similarly, eating too little. I hear this a lot too. Women afraid to eat too much. Of course you're afraid because the TV told you for years that you could only have 2 drinks in a meal. So of course your body, your brain is like, oh, I can't eat too much. Chronic undereating slows your metabolism and keeps your body in survival mode. Now, this is actually commonly known. At this point, most people will repeat to me that they've heard that undereating is not great. It does slow your metabolism, it keeps your body in survival mode. It thinks you're starving, right? And same thing happens, right? Your blood sugar crashes, you have low energy, and you end up just binging, right? Because you're underfed. So again, the solution is similar to the first one. Fuel your body consistently, right? Fuel your body, eat breakfast, eat lunch, have a snack if you're hungry. There's no reason to starve yourself. Starving yourself just backfires. Nourishing yourself builds trust in your body, builds safety in your body, safety in your brain, reduces cravings, reduces the blood sugar crash, keeps your energy up, and that's what gives you long-term results. And it's one of those things that if you've been conditioned to eat very little, then you may not believe it until you try it. But again, I can give you examples of clients who have said, oh my gosh, my body is changing. I can't believe that eating more consistently has done that. It's amazing, right? Mistake number 3, forcing yourself through intense workouts. Oh my gosh, like this one is big. And this one I used to see a lot at the gym because the gym I worked at most recently promoted high intensity interval training workouts. Everything was a high intensity workout. Everything, literally. All classes were high intensity. And so what would happen was that people would commit. They'd be like, I'm going to take a class every day, Monday through Friday, and then take the weekends off. But intense exercise isn't meant to be done every day, especially as you get older. If you're 25 and you're listening to this, then you know what? You could probably handle it. But if you're over 35, then your body is not going to cooperate with intense workouts all the time, especially if you're feeling the dread. If you dread your workout, it's not sustainable, right? Your workouts should be things that you do not dread. And I think we have this misconception, I know we have this misconception, that workouts have to be hard and intense and we have to be on the floor dripping. I mean, the prevalence of CrossFit, I think, exacerbates that myth that you have to lay on the floor and be dying for it to count. That's not true at all. What does count is moving your body. And that can be a walk. It can be strength training that doesn't even really hurt, doesn't even have to be hard, right? Yoga, it can feel amazing. Pilates, movement that you enjoy is going to get you a lot further than being inconsistent. To saying you're going to do it 5 times and only doing it once. That's not going to get you results. But choosing 5 things, maybe one of them is intense and maybe the other 4 are just regular, and that's going to get you results. Now, I do see the same things you do online, and I see people just shouting from the rooftops about lifting heavy weights. And I want you to know that it doesn't matter as much as you think it does. And also, heavy weight is relative, right? So for some people, body weight is heavy and hard, and yoga is going to be hard, and Pilates is going to be hard. For some people, they love to pick up a barbell and throw on as much weight as they can. And for other people, your body may just appreciate more of medium-sized weights. Maybe 5 pounds is heavy for you. Maybe 10 pounds is heavy for you. Just because the internet says you have to pick up a heavy barbell doesn't mean that that's right for you. It needs to be what's right for you. And that's the hardest part. When you're looking for advice online, it's just so generic. And what you really need is to find what works for your body, what you can do, and what you can sustain. Mistake number 4, following someone else's meal plan. Now, this is a similar situation than the exercise, right? Someone else's meal plan is something that they created based on things that they like to eat and their body. And yeah, it might absolutely work for her, and it might work for some of her clients too. But I've done this enough that I know that there's no one-size-fits-all approach. In fact, I've had clients back when I was first a trainer, all the time. People would say, "Can you write me a meal plan? Can you write me a meal plan?" And I'd be like, "Sure, here's a meal plan." And it's honestly not that hard. But this is the thing, is I don't know what you like to eat, because every time I would give someone a meal plan, they would not follow it, because it would just be random foods that they were like, "Oh, I don't have access to this," or "I don't like this," or "Well, I don't know, but then we went out." And so I changed my whole philosophy around meal plans. You create the meal plan. You create it. You can create it. Your body's your body. If red sauce upsets your stomach, then you're not going to eat red sauce. And I'm not going to give you foods with red sauce, right? And if you don't like broccoli, then let's not put broccoli in your meal plan. Besides, your own body has its own rhythm. You have your own hormones. You have your own hunger cycles. You have your own lifestyle cycles. Your job may have you eating in certain patterns. Your family might have you eating in certain patterns. You may have small children. You may have grown children. Your lifestyle is yours. What we do instead now with clients is, yes, you can create your own meal plan if that helps you. Moreover, we create, I call it almost like a menu, right? Where you have lots of foods that you know work for your body, and you pick and choose based on this giant list of things you like to eat. Because what I teach you is to listen to your body's cues. Listen to your hunger patterns. We listen to your fullness patterns, and we come up with a plan that makes sense for your body and your lifestyle. It's customized. So stop wasting your money on someone's meal plan that they swear works for people, because yeah, it probably does work for people, but it doesn't work for everybody. And there's no reason that you should pay for something that you don't know is going to work for you. Mistake number 5, cutting out carbs completely. Now, somewhere along the way, carbs got a bad rap. Let's see. We started with Slim Fast, 2 shakes, and a sensible meal. Then we went to low fat, or somewhere, I don't know the order. The order might be out of order. But then we went to low fat, so fat was bad, right? And then we went straight from low fat into Atkins, high fat, no carbs, right? Suddenly carbs were bad. And still, like 25 years later, people are still afraid of carbs. And this is the thing, is yes, when you cut out carbs, it's going to help you lose weight. But there's a point of no return. Like, you have to have some carbs in your meals, because carbs give you energy. And again, I've tried everything. So years and years ago, I did what's called like a carb cycle, where you had to measure your carbs, and one day it was 0, one day it was 50 grams, one day it was 100 grams, one day it was 150 grams, and it went up to 200, I think, and then I think you cycled back down 150, 150, 0. And I can tell you straight up, the 0 days, even the 50 days, even the 100 days I was a disaster. My clients were like, I had to warn them all. I was like, guys, I'm on this carb cycle and I've had 0 carbs, and I couldn't think. I couldn't remember anything. I could barely train people. And so I can tell you straight up that really messes up your energy, messes up your hormones, messes up your brains, and you go crazy with cravings because your body's freaking out. So I don't recommend cutting out carbs, and I don't recommend a carb cycle at all. I recommend just balanced carbs from whole foods, regular foods. Carbs are not the enemy. The enemy is that we eat too much of them. So if you're going to do anything with your carbs, measure them, right? A bag of chips is not a serving. even the chips they put in front of you at the Mexican restaurant, not a serving. I'm trying to think, pasta that you get at a restaurant, not a serving. That's like 4 servings. Rice that they give you when you go out to eat, that's like 4 servings. My best advice is to look up a serving of carbs. Look up a serving. Look, is it a potato? Is it half a potato? Is it 3 ounces of potato? Is it a half a cup of rice, a quarter cup of rice, pasta, a bread? Is it a slice is a serving, or is it a half a slice is a serving, right? So if you're going to have a sandwich, is that 4 servings of bread, or is that 2 servings of bread? Find out. Look at your labels. Find out what a serving is and stay within serving sizes. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. It's that simple. It's just eat regular servings. Stop eating things out of the bag, right? Balanced carbs. Whole foods are always your best bet too. Processed foods, breads, pastas, sugars, those are going to be worse for you. Whereas if you eat homegrown, but grown carbs like potatoes, sweet potatoes, things that grow in nature, you're going to have a better effect for sure. Saving calories for later, right? This comes into a little bit from number 1, which is that skipping meals to save calories. But again, this banking calories just leads to overeating and disconnecting yourself from your hunger. Because now this happens a lot around Thanksgiving, right? People will save their calories for the big meal. And all that does is leave you hungry. So now you're just hungry all day. And again, back to what we said earlier, your blood sugar tanks, your energy tanks, and you end up overeating. Your best bet is to eat when you're hungry. Learn to honor your hunger. Hunger is there for a reason. It means your body's low on fuel. It's just like the gas tank in your car. When your car little tank, arrow, I'm looking for the word arrow. When it gets to E, what happens? You need fuel, because what happens if you don't fill it when it's on E? I mean, you might be able to get a few more miles in, and you might even know what number that is, but you got to stop for gas because your car's going to not go, right? If you've ever run out of gas completely, then you know. That's exactly what's happening with your body. And unfortunately, because we have a brain to fight with, you're just going to end up overeating and overstuffing yourself, right? So learning to honor your hunger instead. Mistake number 7, relying on willpower alone. Willpower is a myth. Willpower is a myth. It's also affected, we think, I'll just be strong and I'll resist, right? But it's not that simple. Because all that is also affected by your stress and your fatigue. So when you're stressed out and tired, or especially at the end of a day, there's no willpower. It's not reliable. It's not sustainable to rely on that. What you have to do is rely on your body, listening to your body, identifying when you are stressed, identifying when you are tired, identifying when you are hungry and when you are full, when you're satisfied, and what your energy level is. So if you're stressed or tired, you have to identify that, recognize it, acknowledge it, and say, oh, you know what? I'm just stressed and tired. Like, yeah, I want a cookie, but that's because I'm stressed and tired. I don't actually need a cookie. Or, oh, I really want seconds, of this really delicious thing. Okay, well, are you full though? Because if your stomach is full, then you don't need seconds, right? You just want seconds. You can have seconds tomorrow. Why don't you put some in a Tupperware and put it in the fridge and then reheat it for tomorrow? Why don't you wait a couple of hours and see if, then you have a little more room in a couple of hours. But stop eating when you're not hungry and not eating when you are hungry and ignoring your satisfaction and ignoring your energy levels. That really, truly, food is fuel, and we need to start looking at it as that in order to manage your weight. In order to be the ideal weight that your body is meant to be at, you have to treat it as so. And willpower is a myth. So instead, you're listening to your body, building routines that support you and help you feel grounded. Mistake number 8, drinking wine to unwind. All right, we'll say wine / all alcohol, because I know some of you are wine people, some of you are beer people, you like your IPAs and your craft beers, and some people like cocktails and stuff. But, and this, we're going to talk a lot about this for Sober October, but alcohol disrupts your sleep, spikes cravings, and adds hidden calories. I mean, they're not so hidden, let's be honest. A cider, somebody told me they were drinking cider, hard ciders. Those are can be like hundreds of calories, hundreds, like multiple hundreds of calories in just one, right? You could easily drink a day's worth of calories in just a few hard ciders, right? Not to mention that it disrupts your sleep, spikes cravings, and ruins your metabolism. Your body, alcohol is poison to your body, and your body will spend all of its resources trying to get rid of that poison. So your best bet is to switch to cannabis, where you can still get a buzz and enjoy the unwinding without any of the side effects, right? And if you want to hear more about that, I've got some great episodes about that specifically. And if you're curious, then, check out some of these other episodes and other things that are out there, the cannabis drinks, all the edibles. There's so many fun things that you could try. Which brings me to the mistake number 9 is if you're not trying cannabis, you might be avoiding it because of the munchies. But the truth is, only certain types of cannabis promote the munchies. THC is the worst offender, okay? THC is the worst offender. A lot of THC strains stimulate appetite on purpose because can be an effect that people want, but it depends on the terpenes, right? Your indicas are going to have the terpenes that stimulate appetite. Your sativas are going to be less likely because they have more uplifting and energizing terpenes. But also CBD and CBG don't stimulate your appetite. They just don't work the same way in your body. So if you add CBD or CBG to your THC, then you can stop the munchies in their tracks, right? There's also THCV, V as in Victor, and I know that's confusing, but it's a separate cannabinoid, and that actually suppresses your appetite, as does CBD, but if you like the buzz, I get it. You might want to combine one of those with your THC so that you still get the buzz. And they regulate your blood sugar too, so you don't get any crazy blood sugar spikes or drops. So if you're avoiding cannabis because of the munchies, then hear me when I say there is more that you need to know about that. And again, there's also some episodes about that as well. And stay tuned for Sober October, man. We're going to talk all about it. Mistake number 10, obsessively tracking each bite, right? Now, this is a way of hyper controlling. And generally, and I'm all for tracking because it can be a useful tool. But when we get so hyper focused on it, it actually makes you more stressed and disconnects you from the sensations that we're really trying to tune into, which is hunger, fullness, energy, and satisfaction in your body. So if you're just stressed out about trying to track the calorie by calorie and trying to, get every macro to fit some perfect example, then you're not listening to your actual hunger, your actual fullness, your energy, and your satisfaction. Because if you're not satisfied, then does it really matter where you are with your macros if you need to eat a apple with peanut butter on it to be satisfied? Do you even care if that fits into your macros? Like, what's the harm? You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal. So being so nitpicky with your calorie counting or your macro counting can just distract you from actually focusing on what your body really needs. And sometimes the point is just completely moot. Like, okay, don't fight with yourself over having an apple with some peanut butter on it when you need that. It's all you need to be satisfied. It's not that big of a deal. You're talking about 100 couple calories here and a few grams of this and that. So yeah, it's going to make your numbers off a little bit. But if that one snack made you feel more satisfied, then to me, that's worth it, because your satisfaction is everything, and you can still lose weight by doing that. So instead of obsessively tracking every bite, you want to practice awareness. Use tracking as a tool, but not the end all be all, and not be obsessed about it. And that's what we work on in CannaFit. You may track for a little while, but it doesn't need to be obsessive, and it doesn't need to be forever. Mistake number 11, thinking more cardio equals more weight loss. And again, I can blame the good old 1980s for this one, for step aerobics and stuff. But in reality, too much cardio increases your inflammation in your body and stress. It's so stressful for your body. And I am hearing a lot of women my age, as we approach 50, a lot of my peers, my friends, that we were all runners together back in the day. In my 20s, I was a runner. I ran a couple of marathons, and I have a lot of friends that still run. And it's just, our bodies are just breaking down from all the running. If you know my story, I had both knees replaced because I had really bad arthritis in the knees from running. Part of that's hereditary, so we can't blame the running completely. But my friends that are still running are struggling because their bodies can't keep up. They're having injuries and fatigue, and it's the inflammation and the stress. So more cardio does not equal more weight loss. They're actually switching to more strength training, more walking, and incorporating running here and there, but not as grueling as before. Because the truth is, you don't need all that running or any cardio, really. All that cardio and running to lose weight. You can lose weight without all that. You're going to build muscle, which is going to burn fat for you. You're going to walk and have less stress. You're going to reduce inflammation. Sometimes your weight gain is just inflammation, and that's pretty scary, right? So be gentle with your body. Mistake number 12, eating by the clock instead of by hunger. Right? Just because it says it's lunchtime, it's 12 o'clock, does that mean that you need lunch? Are you actually hungry at that point? Just because it's 6 o'clock, is that dinner time? Are you hungry at 6 o'clock? Or are you hungry at 5? Are you hungry at 4? Do you need a snack? What if we put in a 3 o'clock snack and then you eat dinner at 7? How does that work? We have to be flexible with the times. And these days, chances are you're not punching a clock. You might be. And you might have specific lunch times. But these days, I feel like everyone has flexible schedules, and everybody has lunches that they're allowed to take when they want to, and people eat at their desks. And, it's a lot more flexible than it used to be. It's not the old, we work in a factory and you had to take your lunch from 12 to 12:30 because that was the only time you got to eat. Most people don't work like that anymore. So instead, learn your body's rhythms. Do you like to eat breakfast when you get up? Then great. If you don't, then have breakfast at 10 when you get hungry. And then have your lunch at 2. It doesn't have to be a specific time. Don't eat just because the clock says it's a time. Eat when you're hungry, and then stop when you're full. My body, I can't help but squeeze that in. And then last but not least, mistake number 13, starting over every Monday. It's that feeling of, I messed up, I need to start over. I messed up last week. I got to start fresh. I screwed up over the weekend. I got to start fresh. Stop starting fresh. Just pick up where you left off. Because the truth is, there's not ever going to be a perfect streak. I've definitely had a lot of clients struggle with this one because I tend to work with people like me, perfectionistic, type A's. We like things to be neat and pretty. But just because you think you have to have a perfect workout streak of, a month straight in order to lose weight doesn't mean that if you take a day off, you're off track. It means that you had a streak and you took a day off. That's all it means. It doesn't mean you're going to gain weight. It doesn't mean you're not doing it. We have to look at it differently, approach it from a different way of thinking. So ditching this all or nothing mentality that keeps you trapped in a cycle of guilt and burnout, and instead look at the bigger picture of consistency, the bigger picture of a year. Picture a whole year, all the months, all the weeks, all the days. And let's try to make most of those days that you feel good about, days where you listen to your hunger, you listen to your fullness, you moved your body, and not worry about the days that you didn't. We're talking about 80% of the time, 90% of the time. If you do the math on a year, even if you are quote unquote on track 90% of the time, you still get days, weeks of not being on track. So it just perspective shifts, right? We're working with consistency, not perfection. One choice at a time. So just to sum up here, what we work on in CannaFit is movement you look forward to, right? Movement you enjoy, because exercise is not a punishment. It's supposed to be good for you. Your body is supposed to enjoy it. So walking, strength training, mobility work, no more forcing. We also focus on eating foods you enjoy. What do you like to eat? That's what you're going to eat. Then we'll work with that. And let's work on your hunger and fullness in terms of the foods you like, right? So learning how to stop when you're satisfied. We also work on using cannabis as a supportive tool for better sleep, fewer cravings, deeper calm, relieving stress and inflammation. We also work on learning to tune into your body, your hunger, your fullness, your energy, your emotional landscape, your stress, your resilience. All of that plays a role and is important to get a handle on for weight loss. And then just creating a rhythm. It's not a rule. It's not a rule that you either followed or broke. It's a rhythm. It's learning to go with the flow in a respect that works with your body, right? It's not a go with the flow. Oh, I'm going to have pizza and then we're going to go to the burger place and then I'm just going to eat whatever I want. There is an element of that. There's a flow to it. But it's a flow that works with your body and with your goal. So again, it's not a rule that you're either following or not following. It's just finding a flow. And I know, especially if you're like me and you're a little more type A, you like things to be neat and pretty, then a plan that you follow to the T sounds like it's a better idea. But if you haven't tried this other method, then I highly recommend you try just listening to your body, learning your body, because I have tried both ways. I have tried every which way, and this is the one that's worked for me for over 10 years. I've been the exact same body, exact same size, and this is what works for my clients, and they are staying the same size, losing weight, finding their set point, finding their ideal weight, and a rhythm that is sustainable. I had a client text me this morning. God, I love these messages. And she sent me a picture of her scale. And she said, let me see. I think my scale is broken, LOL. Thank you for setting me on this journey. And it was a picture of the scale with a number that she hadn't seen in a while. But she finished her program back in May, guys. It's September. And she's kept it off. I said, you kept it going all summer. She kept it off. It's lower than it ever has been. That's the goal. That's the goal, is that you are on a wavelength, a path, a journey that is sustainable, gets you to where you want to be, that you can keep up on your own. You don't need me to hold your hand. You don't want me to hold your hand for the rest of your life. You want something that you can do and control. So that's what I do in my programs is I work with you. It's typically about 12 weeks. We can go more and we can go less, but typically about 12 weeks gets you enough time to get on the path, and then the path is yours. And you know what to do, you know what works for you, and you just keep going, and it's sustainable. You don't feel deprived. You feel good. You feel good in your body. So thanks for sticking with me through all 13 of those mistakes. This was a tiny bit longer than I wanted it to be, but I think it's worthwhile. And if you identified with any of those or all of them, then please feel free to reach out. I'd love to help you. We've got some fun promotions coming up. If you're into cannabis, then we've got some super fun infusions that my friend and I are going to be working with in the next month or so. So reach out if you need anything, or if you want to chat more about this. You can reach me. My email is beth@cannafitnessnutrition.com, and I hang out on Instagram. It's Beth_cannafitnessnutrition, and I will see you next time. Thanks for listening.